Hello YouTube, OldPowysRider here. It's February the 13th and it's very cold. It's about, well, the forecast was 3 degrees, feeling like -1. And I guess on a bike it probably feels a bit colder than that. But I have the Keis heated jacket on and I am toasty warm. And the heated gloves too. So even at this temperature, which is probably the coldest I've been out this winter, yeah, I think it is the coldest I've been out. It's nice and dry, but it is the coldest, and I am warm. I mean, this Keis jacket is absolutely superb. You may be able to tell that I'm not riding my own bike, which is my 350 Royal Enfield Classic. I'm riding Mrs. OldPowysRider's Honda CMX500 Rebel. There are a couple of reasons why I'm riding that today. One is the bike actually needs riding during the winter, so I do take it out. And the other thing is, I took, how can I say that? Last week or the week before, I went out to test this new jacket that I bought on the 350, and it felt great. I'm on my way to the yellow van as usual, and I was on my way to the yellow van that day, and the jacket felt exactly the same as it feels now. But after a few more miles, it switched itself off, and so I noticed that the gloves had gone off and the jacket also had gone off, and I sort of re-plugged it in and it sort of half worked and then switched off and blah blah blah. And now I'm no mechanic or electrician, but I like to tinker, and I figured it was not enough power in the battery, because when I leave home I've had the battery on an Optimate, and so it's fully charged, and of course 20 or 30 miles later the jacket has drawn the power from it and the alternator is not pumping it back in quick enough. Now this is my opinion. I've spoken with Ian Hughes, that is, and he doesn't have any trouble with his heated jacket on the same bike, so I'm open to suggestions as to why it would cut itself out. I've tried the jacket in the car, because I've got an adapter that'll plug into the cigarette lighter, and I mean, it really does work. There's nothing wrong with the jacket at all. I drove for an hour and a half and it was fine. And so now I've sort of done about 15 miles now, I think, and on this Honda, and it's fine as well. I've got no issues at all. But then I didn't on the Royal Enfield up at this level, so it won't be until I've had my lunch and I'm on my way back that I'll know whether it's the battery. I mean, I'm not expecting the battery on this bike to give me any trouble. So anyway, I've got a new battery, or a newish battery, on the Royal Enfield. I've got the UASA on there, and yeah, so that's my thoughts at the moment. I'm thinking that it's not, I only tried it on full power because I wanted to see what it was like on full power. After my next ride after this one is going to be on the Royal Enfield at half power, and see how it copes. I've got a feeling on half power it'll be fine, but I wanted to get a battery for it so I could use it, but according to the internet, no batteries available, which is a bit of a letdown, because I was planning to get a battery to wear the jacket other than on the bike. But anyway, I guess they'll come in one day, and spring is on the way, so I'm hoping we won't be needing this heated gear for much longer. So I think that just about covered why I'm out on this bike. What do I think of this bike? It's a lovely bike. I have ridden it before. I do take my Mrs. OldPowysRider doesn't tend to ride in the winter, so I do take it out occasionally just to keep it going. It's kept on an Optimate as well, so no issues at all. It just started up and off it went, just as you'd expect a Honda to do. A couple of years back I was doing just that, taking it out to stretch its legs one day. It was summer of 23, about August I think. Anyway, I took it out and I loved my old Triumph, and I still do love my old. There's nothing wrong with my old Triumph, it's gone now, but when I got on this I thought, you know, I think at my age now I need a smaller bike. And so it was riding this bike that decided me to downsize in bikes. And I'd had my eye on a little Royal Enfield for a while. I'd always liked them, so that's how I ended up with a little Royal Enfield. But this bike, being 500, does have more power. I'm not riding any quicker on it than I would be on the Royal Enfield, but it does have that power. And I'm going up a little hill now, and it is fairly obvious that it's got more power when you're doing something like this. As I say, I'd probably be going up here at the same sort of speeds I'm doing now, but this does it a bit easier. The comfort of this bike is fine. It's got a very low seat. I mean, I flat foot this one with my 29-inch legs without any trouble. I can flat foot this, and I move it around the yard, etc., without any problems. If it was mine, I wouldn't have that little screen on it. I'm a bit of a no screen man. I've never liked screens, even though I have had bikes with them as standard. I prefer bikes without. But we went to Brittany last summer, and Mrs. OldPowysRider was on this. I was on the Royal Enfield. And we put a set of panniers, some hard panniers on it, so it's got luggage. It's actually a lovely bike. The only thing for me, because it's so low, I have to bend my knees more than I do on the Royal Enfield, which, having had 2 replacement knees, I imagine on a longer run they may ache a bit. They still ache, even though they were done about 13 years ago. You know, I'm really pleased I had them done, and there's no pain there at all, but they do ache from time to time. And people ask me how the cold weather affects them. Well, I don't know whether it's psychological, but I always feel they're a bit stiffer in cold weather. But as I say, 13 years since I had the first one done, and pain-free since then. So yeah, I think if I was on a long ride, this is going to be about a 40-mile ride, so I don't think I'll have any issues with the peg position on this one for 40 miles. But if I was doing, let's say, a couple of 100 miles, I think my knees would ache on this one. So I prefer the sitting position on the Royal Enfield. I prefer the looks of the Royal Enfield, even though this is a very nice looking bike. I mean, obviously I was attracted to the Royal Enfield, that's why I got it. But I do like the little bit of power. I'd forgotten what it was like. I haven't ridden this for a couple of months, and I'd forgotten just this little bit of power. As I say, I don't ride any faster, but it does make a bit of a difference. Not enough for me to want to change my 350, but it's nice occasionally to go out on this one. mean, this thing would cruise quite comfortably at 70, where the Royal Enfield will get to 70. But you know, I mean, and it will cruise at 70, because I did it on the motorway for some miles, just 70 or just below. But this one would take it in its stride, whereas the Royal Enfield, you know, is at its limit. So yeah, I like this bike. It's nice to have it for me to ride. Talking about the Royal Enfield, for anyone who's got one, something that I had a little issue with this week, the side panel that covers the battery. I bought some new cables for my heated gear because I want to route them differently, and I use them for Optimate and the heated gear, so I bought some new cables. So I thought I'd have a look on the Enfield, and so I put the key in the lock, and you know, it wouldn't turn. It was absolutely jam solid, which is not good. You don't want that. So this morning I went out, last night I put some releasing oil just in there. This morning I turned the key and I managed to open it, but that the releasing oil had done its job overnight, so I gave it a good soaking in releasing oil, and now it's turning quite easily. But it's something to be aware of if you're out and about and you need to get in that compartment. It's not so, I don't think I've opened it for a 12 months, so I think it's worth checking these things. Anyway, all's well that ends well. Yeah, this bike goes very well. This one's 7-year-old and got about 4,000 miles on the clock. Perfect. Well, we're not far off the little yellow van, so I'll say goodbye for now. It's only a short video this time, just to have a look at this bike and have a little chat about my heated kit. Thanks if you've watched it right the way through, and I appreciate that. And for all the people subscribing, I do appreciate that too. If anybody's watching and would like to subscribe, please do. It costs nothing and it does help the channel. I'm enjoying doing the channel, so I'll keep it up, and I'm looking forward very much to a bit warmer weather. But for now, I'll say goodbye and pop into my little yellow van, which is closed. I will not pop into the little yellow van. I'll go straight by and head for another cafe. That doesn't happen very often, but I've come by today and it's closed. Anyway, I'll still say goodbye now, and catch up with you next time. Bye now. Okay, well, I thought I'd just pop myself back in here for a minute. I've not far from home now, and I've done my ride. It's about 40 or 50 miles, I suppose, I've done, and I can happily say that the jacket hasn't cut itself off on this bike. It's been on full power, with the gloves on full power, for the full 40-50 miles, and I'm lovely and warm. And as I said earlier, it is only about 0 degrees, and so I'll have to look at the Royal Enfield to see if I can figure out the best way to take this a little further. Anyway, that was just a quick in. I'm just coming up to the Irwood Station Cafe Gallery. I'm not calling in, I'm on my way home, but there is a bike there. And I'll say goodbye again. Bye for now.